In early February 2020, a group of second-year musical theatre students from University Centre, Weston, began rehearsals for a new show, Bipolar the Musical by Richard Crowe and Andy Collier, based on Richard's popular one-man show Over the Wall Picking Apples. The students were having a lot of fun, playing characters and singing songs never performed before and learning new skills like tumbling, clowning and mime. Everyone was excited, looking forward to the first night on March the 24th. But on March the 23rd, the UK went into lockdown and the musical was postponed indefinitely.
So Bipolar the Musical had to be postponed. And I suppose it shouldn't really have come as any great surprise to us because of the obviously ever-changing nature of COVID-19. But it was such a huge blow for us all to know that we wouldn't be able to continue developing and then ultimately perform the show that we'd spent so much time working on. Every day that we'd come together to work on it, it would develop. And knowing that we then wouldn't be able to finish the show was such a shame for us all. And now obviously we know that we will continue to work on it later in the year, or potentially the new year, once it's safe for us all to come back together and develop it further. But at the time, it was a real shock to know that we wouldn't necessarily be able to finish what we'd begun creating. Our world is bipolar. Our world is bipolar. We are always turning, never standing still. Like volcanoes burning, we are older than the hills.
The world turns, and the winds change, and the sun burns, and the mountains range, and the days break, and the bee stings, and the earth quakes, and the moon swings. With a world, with a world, with a world, with a world. the world. Welcome to the world. With the world, with the world. Come on, everybody. In the world, in the world.
Welcome to a brand new morning, baby boy will soon be born. Bipolar. His world is bipolar.
It was quite cool that this could be something that appears on Western stage in the future. You never know that someone famous could be listening to your voice on the first ever album. You know, like, it's crazy, man. The fact that we get to workshop this new musical, and the fact that we're being trusted to do something like this, and the fact that they think we're capable of creating these characters, and it's just mad. It's mad. It's quite cool though.
I was so excited. I was so excited because new material. It's just never been done before.
So I was really excited to do the musical before all this lockdown started. Like, obviously it's the first time anyone's ever performed it, and it's just, I don't know, it feels quite special being able to have like our own cast recording of it, and just be able to be the first people ever to perform it and find like our own characters. And it's quite exciting and quite fun. I really enjoyed the process up to it.
You can't go on YouTube and look it up. You can't go and look up all these interpretations of it. You have to use the script, and you have to use the score, and talk to the director and musical director, of course. But like, you have to come up with it. It's a thing that you have to do, which is something you don't get to do often.
I was so excited when we found out that we were going to do a new musical, because I think it's so special to know that you're the first person to play that part. Like, I would be Euro and Dawn. I would be the first person to ever play those characters, and I think allowing yourself to create that character from scratch, like no one else has done that before. You can't look at someone and think that's how they played it, because there isn't one. It's on you.
Imagine that, being the first one to be that character. That, I really want to do that. And now, like,
the first time I heard about the musical, I wasn't really sure about it. I was a bit uneased with the subjects that were in it, and I wasn't sure if I would feel comfortable enough doing it, and all those things, like how would the audience react to seeing some of these subjects. I didn't know, but the more I worked on it, and the more we all worked on it together, it just became so much more natural and just fun. And at the end of the day, these subjects are stuff that people deal with every single day, and sometimes they feel like it's not spoken about enough, and us as artists is just a way of us bringing awareness to it in our own creative way, because that's just what we do. And right now, I really like this musical. I really enjoy doing it and being part of it.
So, how did this whole thing get started? Well, obviously, Richard had done Over the Wall Picking Apples, and a mutual friend of ours phoned me up and said, my mate Richard wants to turn this show into a musical. How do you feel? And I said, well, what's it about? What's it about? He said, Bipolar.
Morning, fish. Bloop, 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 bloop.
So what was wrong with me? Why was I so different?
All joking aside, ladies and gentlemen, I would remind you that suicide is not allowed in any part of the plane, and that includes the toilets, front and rear. Of course it was hard. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I'm going to do it, Paul. I want to do it, Paul. Help me, please. From shortness of breath to sleeplessness and diarrhea to erectile dysfunction. Oh, yes. Dinner parties around our house were a real hoot at that time.
Seriously? He's over the wall, picking apples.
Realizing it was about mental health was quite a challenging aspect. I don't necessarily have mental health, but I know people that do. So I've witnessed how people feel and how they deal with things. So yeah, it kind of hit home.
This is hard, wading through treacle to get to the other side, just to get to the other side. It's so hard to unravel the puzzles when the answer's classified, when the answer's classified. And all the time I see the faces of those who tried and failed. I see the dead, I see the dead, I see the dead. Paul, how could you leave me? I can't do this without you. I can't go on. Can't go on. Just opening my eyes, it's harder than a stone. Than a stone. On and on, a road with no ending, and I'm walking it alone. Walking it alone. I am following the footsteps of those who tried and failed. I see the dead, I see the dead. Tomorrow just like it was today, and all the days gone by, an endless succession of nothing days, time's rules do not apply. When you've seen the dead, you can't leave me again, Paul. You can't leave me, Paul. I never left you, Richard.
Must go on, keep thinking of home, home where you belong, home where you belong. Back at home, with people who love you, you can sing a different song, you can sing a different song.
But all the time I see the faces of those who tried and failed. I see the dead, I see the dead. And all the time I see the faces of those who tried and failed. I see the dead, I see the faces, I see the dead, who tried and failed. I see the dead, I see the dead, I see the dead, I see the
So my name's Jed, and I was the director of Richard's one-man show Over the Wall Picking Apples. So I worked with him for, 18 months on the project, from exploring things in workshops to going on tour, taking part in the Q&A and so on and so forth. So when Richard then talked about making it into a musical to try and reach a different and wider audience, I suggested he talk to Andy Collier, who I've known for a lot of years, worked with for a lot of years, and I'd just written a musical with. And I felt he'd be ideal for this kind of topic. Andy is prolific and superb at what he does as well. And the rest, as they say, is history. Richard and Andy hit it off brilliantly. The show was written, rewritten, and it continues to be rewritten like most of these projects. I was then penciled to be director of the musical, so I took part in the audition of the students with Andy and Richard, and then with their contribution I then cast the show, started rehearsals, and also dropped in to run a workshop on clowning and mime. But then due to ill health I've had to pull out for now, although yeah, at the moment I'm good. But I was very keen to see what it would turn out like. Richard took over. The cast is superb. I was really impressed. At the auditions, I remember saying to their tutor, to Kyle, how impressed I was with the standard. I have a good knowledge of the high standard that UCW have anyway, because I worked there for a number of years. So I wasn't surprised, but I was relieved at the standard and the dedication and enthusiasm of the students. So that meant I felt it was in good hands, and loved the songs, absolutely loved the songs, loved the script, made a few more suggestions recently to Richard that he might want to consider, which I think he is considering for when it takes off again. So everything looked really good. I was really excited. I think it is a good idea to make it into a musical. I just want to know how people are going to react to it. I don't know how they're going to react to it, but I think it's a very important piece, and I hope that when this surreal world that we live in at the moment finds space for live performance again, that it can find a platform, get out there and entertain and educate, and send out a very important message that needs raising, highlighting, and bringing to the fore. And yeah, I think I'm looking forward to this one.
In terms of the music, an awful lot of it is pastiche. You've got everything from Tchaikovsky and Gilbert and Sullivan through to James Taylor, all sorts. There is a bit of me in there as well. But the notion of the constantly shifting styles ties in very well with the way Bipolar shifts. Although, of course, it's made it hard for the actors, because I've been asking them, okay, can you give me a rock number? Can you give me disco? Can you give me some proper musical theatre? Whatever that is. Can you sing the opera?
Two songs that stand out the most for me, which are Crash and Roll for Their Souls. I just really like to perform them. They're just such fun songs. They're great.
My favourite song in the show. Oh, there were loads. But no, I really like the song in the second act, Roll for Their Souls, who is sung by myself and the Count, and both being villains. I thought it was quite cool, and it's quite a mischievous song, and it's quite jazzy, which is one of my favourite genres. So I just, whenever I sing it, and it just makes me want to dance and stuff.
The winner takes all, 2 for 1, and then we decide who gets who. Let's roll it. let's roll with their songs. The final question, the home run, and then we decide who gets who. Let's roll it, let's roll with their songs. I gotta admit it sounds tempting, and I could be carried away. Now I wouldn't dream of preempting, but I think I have a inkling what you're going to say.
My favourite song in the show would be I See the Dead. It's such a lush song, literally beautifully written. It's the bit in the show where Richard, he wants to give up, he's had enough, and Elizabeth is like, no, like, come on, we need to keep going, keep walking, you know, don't give up. And then throughout the song, the whole cast get involved, and we start chucking out some harmonies, like, oh, it's so lush, it's so nice to hear, to listen to. I just love that song.
So there's a lot of good songs in the show, and one of my personal favourites is probably Paul's song, Now's My Time to Die. It's just such a beautiful song, and I love the way Rob sings it.
My favourite song in Bipolar the Musical is Now Is My Time to Die. And it's this really emotive song which highlights what Paul struggled with in his bipolarity, and you live through his thought process with him on his final night, and it helps to really highlight what Richard is scared of.
One of the numbers in the show was something that I wrote quite a long while ago when my dad died. And I'd read the scene with Paul and Richard, and this song came into my head, and I thought, I'll just run it by Richard and see what he thinks. So I think it would fit really well here. And bless him, he came and said, yeah, love the song. And he went away and reworked the lyric to make it fit Paul, which it does beautifully. And that song then went in the show, which I'm very pleased about. And the actor who sings it, Rob, he gets it. That's great, isn't it?
I'm gonna do it, Richard. I'm gonna do it. Look, I want to do it, Richard. Help me, Richard. Please. I want a quiet moment to gaze with you into the sky. I want to say I love you. I want to say, Bob, thank you. I want to say goodbye. Suffice to say, I'll miss you. I want to rage and cry, but there's no fight left within me. So I have made my choice, and now's my time to die.
My favourite song from Bipolar is Roll Up.
My favourite song from the musical is a full cast number called Crash, because it's such an energetic number and it finishes Act 1 and everyone's just going crazy because Elizabeth has just found Richard on the plane.
Crash! Ah! The engine on the right has gone crash! Ah! And now we can see the other one crash! Ah! And the cabin pressure's falling fast! Crash! Ah! No! The oxygen will never last! We're plummeting, plummeting out of the sky, and now everybody is going to die, 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 'cause we're all gonna die, 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 we're all gonna die, 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 die.
I think one of my favourite moments from rehearsals was during our reading week. So it was really early on and we were all learning the music from scratch, obviously. And we'd all learned Let's Watch the Sunrise, and it was towards the end of the day and we all just came together and we sang this song, and it's such a feel-good song. There was such a feeling of family, even with our creative team who we'd only just really met, and it was just so lovely and we were all smiling and singing together.
One of my favourite moments from rehearsals of Bipolar was when Jed came in and did a clowning and mime workshop with us, and we choreographed to Richard's number, La Misère à la Carte. I thought it was really interesting and fun to learn all those new things.
So I would say one of my favourite moments was when Jed came in and we did a bit of mime. So I'd never done mime before, and I think it was just such a nice opportunity to have someone in that we could learn a new skill. Like, I've never done clowning, I've not come to a time where I've needed clowning, but I think it's just brilliant to learn a new skill. Like, I'm from new people, and it was just really fun.
One of my favourite memories from rehearsal, I would say, was doing the tumbling and clowning with Meg and Hannah, as I've never really done this before, especially in a musical, and was really a fun and enjoyable experience.
Another one I would say was when we all started learning the sheet music together for the first time. I think it was just such a lovely time that we'd all heard everyone sing together as one of like pieces of this new musical. Like, obviously no one has ever sung before. I think it was just really special.
The funny moment I have from rehearsals was when I had to get naked for the first time and Sam chucked my sweaty boxers at one of the production crew and I just asked for it back. Start.
Workshops are funny old things, because you almost want to get it as wrong as you get it right. Because if you find out it's wrong, you can sort it. But of course, in order to do that, you need actors to play with it. And we had at UCW a wonderful team of actors who, right from the very beginning, right from auditions, showed themselves to be quite fearless and quite bold in coming forward with ideas and suggestions and ways of doing things that Richard and I hadn't thought about. There were times when Richard would throw them an extra page and a half of script out of the blue when things weren't quite going to plan. There was one occasion when Richard and I, in the car coming home, decided that we really needed to sort out a new opening number. So Richard wrote a lyric overnight, which I picked up in my email the next morning about 7 o'clock. I set the lyric to music, did the demo, got all the music sorted, and took it in to the actors that lunchtime and said, "Okay guys, gather round, we have a new opening number." Nobody batted an eyelid. They just sat down and learnt it. And half an hour later, we had a new opening number. And that's the kind of atmosphere that we've been working in. Which is why it was deeply disappointing. No, it's worse than that. It was awful that we had to stop short of our goal.
I was gutted.
And I was gutted.
Yeah, it was really upsetting.
Oh, it's a bummer.
The fact that it got postponed, it made me sad at the beginning because I really wanted to perform it. I really wanted to just show it to the world. But at the same time, I was happy about it. And not just happy, but happy and relieved. Because then we had more time to work on it. We had to rush so many things that now I feel like we have more time to really work on it and perfect it, because the musical really deserves it. It's a very good musical.
So how did I feel when Bipolar got postponed? Well, as excited as I was to portray a character and to do this new musical and all this new music and just perform it on stage, as much as I, was so excited to do that, I'm relieved. I was relieved, and I'm still relieved, because what it has done is it's given us time.
Now that we've had a few months since it happened, I think it was a bit of a blessing in disguise. Now we've got more time. When we go back to it, we'll have a lot more time. We can refine things and really, get up to scratch on things, which will be really good to get back to and see everyone and pick this all back up. I think it'll be really exciting.
It gives us time to think, time to craft, and well, it's given us this. Like, how cool is this? Like, this video, this whole thing, how cool is that?
Richard and I are very keen to see the project right through, and so are the actors. We all want to get to the end. And this is a step on the way.
My favourite song in the musical is For Now, because even though it's at the end, it's not a really of a sad song, but it's a happy song that everyone comes together and celebrate the sunrise.
So I would say that my favourite song from the show is For Now, because it is one of those moments where we all come together at the end of the show and we all start singing about watching the sunrise, and I think it's just such a lovely moment to end the show with.
Speaking of Let's Watch the Sunrise, I think that's probably my favourite song. It's at the end, it's part of the song For Now actually, and it's the last number of the whole piece, and it's just such a heartwarming moment. Like in rehearsals, I'd come on stage at that moment feeling like I want to cry, even though I'm supposed to be in character, but it was just so heartwarming. It's just so lovely. So yeah, I think that's my favourite song. Oh, and it sounds great.
It's enough, I crashed and fell.
For now.
It's enough that I'm still here.
For now.
Enough that I'm alive and well.
For now.
It's enough, my head is clear for now. I can feel the sunlight on my face.
For now.
I can hear the whisper of the breeze.
For now.
I can't believe this is my place.
For now.
I can't believe in guarantees. For now. Myself into the light.
For now.
I will be the living, not the dead.
For now.
I will be the book I write.
For now.
I will be looking straight ahead. So for now, let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise. Let's watch the rising sun. Let's watch the sunrise.
I'm just glad that I still get the opportunity to do this musical, which I'm really looking forward to going back to because it was such a great experience, and the fact that I was able to do it with my classmates and the director Richard and Andy and of course Jed. Yeah, it's been a great journey so far.
Thank you for watching. As ever, this has been for those who didn't make it to the next sunrise, and for the Samaritans who've been with us every step of the way and are always there on the other end of the phone. These are difficult times for all of us, so if you do know someone who might be struggling, please give them a ring, send them a message, let them know you're there. Thank you.